Japan, the land of cherry blossoms and cutting-edge technology, harbors cultural taboos so surprising they could turn your dream vacation into an embarrassing nightmare. Today, I'm revealing 15 shocking taboos that most travelers never see coming. And trust me, you'll want to know these before you step foot in the land of the rising sun. Let's explore. If you have a chance to visit a Japanese restaurant, you'll be surprised if you see staff running after you to return even a few yen. In Japan, tipping is not a way to reward service, because in Japanese culture, excellent service is expected, not something you pay extra for. When you tip someone, you're essentially saying their service wasn't good enough and needs improvement. It's seen as condescending and insulting to their professional pride. Instead of tipping with money, locals show appreciation through small gifts like carefully folded origami with heartfelt messages written inside. This practice reflects their belief that money cannot replace genuine human connection and gratitude. They understand that some things are more valuable than cash, and that true appreciation comes from the heart, not the wallet. If you have tattoos, Japan might feel like a completely different world. People with visible tattoos are banned from most hot springs, public baths, gyms, swimming pools, traditional inns, and even some restaurants. This isn't just discrimination, it's deeply rooted cultural stigma. The taboo stems from two historical sources that still influence Japanese society today. First, during the Edo period, criminals were punished by being tattooed as a permanent mark of their crimes. This practice branded tattoos as symbols of criminality and social rejection. Second, and perhaps more importantly, tattoos became associated with the Yakuza, Japan's organized crime syndicates. These groups use elaborate tattoos as markers of membership, loyalty, and rank within their organizations. What makes this taboo particularly challenging for visitors is how absolute it can be. In 2013, a visitor from New Zealand attended a conference in Hokkaido but was denied entry to a hot spring because of traditional tattoos on his face. The younger generation in Japan is slowly changing attitudes toward tattoos, viewing them more as art than as symbols of rebellion. But for now, covering up remains the safest approach. It's also worth noting that this taboo extends beyond just visible tattoos. Some establishments may ask directly if you have any tattoos, expecting an honest answer. In Japan, if an elderly person gets on a crowded train and all the regular seats are taken, younger passengers often won't give up their seats, even if they see the person struggling. But before you judge, understand the reasoning. Japanese public transportation has designated priority seats for elderly, pregnant, and disabled passengers. The cultural principle is first come, first served equality. Everyone pays the same fare, everyone deserves the same treatment. Offering your seat to someone can actually make them uncomfortable because it highlights their age or perceived weakness, which goes against the cultural value of maintaining dignity. If you really want to help, Japanese etiquette suggests being subtle about it. Pretend you're getting off at the next stop, or switch seats with someone else so the person can sit without feeling like they received charity. Sign up for more unusual adventures and strange facts you won't find in textbooks. Every country in the world has its own beliefs about unlucky numbers and avoids using them. Japan is no exception, with a strong aversion to the number 4, 8, number 9. The number 4, pronounced shai, sounds identical to the Japanese word for death. The number 9, pronounced ku, sounds like kurushimi, meaning suffering or agony. These linguistic similarities have created such deep superstitions that entire industries have restructured themselves to avoid these numbers. Hospitals don't have fourth floors, apartment buildings skip room numbers with 4 or 9, and many businesses avoid pricing items at amounts containing these digits. What makes this taboo fascinating is how it demonstrates the power of language to shape physical reality. Hotels will label the fourth floor as 3A, 3S, or simply T. Elevators in many buildings jump from the third floor directly to the fifth floor. Phone numbers, license plates, and even product serial numbers are carefully designed to avoid these unlucky combinations. The psychological impact of this taboo is profound and measurable. Japanese people report feeling genuinely uncomfortable when forced to encounter these numbers, especially in contexts related to health, travel, or important life events. A Japanese businessman might postpone a crucial meeting if it's scheduled for the fourth day of the ninth month, and wedding planners routinely avoid dates containing these numbers. This superstition reveals how deeply language and culture intertwine in Japanese society. It's not just about avoiding bad luck, it's about showing cultural awareness and respect for deeply held beliefs that shape daily life for millions of people. Gift-giving in Japan is elevated to an art form with over 70 occasions throughout the year, requiring presents, but choosing the wrong gift can turn a gesture of kindness into a cultural catastrophe. The most dangerous gifts to avoid include anything related to the numbers 4 or 9, which we discussed earlier. But the taboo extends much further into specific objects that carry negative symbolic meanings. Giving someone a comb, for example, is deeply offensive because the word kushi sounds like kurushimi, meaning suffering or death. Sharp objects like knives, scissors, or letter openers are taboo because they symbolize cutting relationships or severing bonds between people. Glass items and other fragile objects carry the similar negative symbolism, suggesting that relationships are fragile and likely to break. Even beautiful crystal vases or elegant glassware can send the wrong message about the durability and strength of your connection with the recipient. The flower taboo is particularly complex and emotionally charged. Chrysanthemums and camellias are strictly funeral flowers in Japan, used exclusively for honoring the dead and comforting grieving families. Giving these flowers to living people, especially in celebratory contexts, is like wishing death upon them. Animal symbolism adds another layer of complexity. Fox imagery is considered taboo because foxes represent greed, cunning, and deception in Japanese folklore. Items decorated with fox motifs, no matter how cute or artistic they might seem, can offend recipients who understand the cultural implications. The solution requires careful research and cultural guidance. Safe gift choices include high-quality sweets, beautifully packaged foods, elegant stationery, or items from your home country that represent your culture. The presentation matters enormously in Japanese gift culture, so invest in proper wrapping and presentation, even if the gift itself is simple. In most Western countries, crossing your legs while sitting is perfectly normal and even considered elegant. But in Japan, this simple posture can instantly mark you as rude, disrespectful, or even provocative. This taboo runs deeper than mere etiquette because it challenges fundamental Japanese values about respect, humility, and appropriate behavior. The cultural association between crossed legs and impropriety stems from historical perceptions about sexuality and social status. Even today, sitting with crossed legs can make Japanese people uncomfortable because it suggests casualness or arrogance in situations that call for respect and attention. The preferred sitting style in Japan is called seisa, where you kneel with your legs folded beneath you and your back perfectly straight. This position demonstrates discipline, respect, and mindfulness. While seiza can be extremely uncomfortable for people who aren't used to it, especially during long ceremonies or meetings, it embodies Japanese values of enduring discomfort for the sake of showing proper respect. For visitors, the solution is adapting your posture to match the formality of the situation. In temples, during tea ceremonies, at traditional restaurants, or in formal business meetings, keep your legs together and your back straight. If seiza becomes too painful, you can shift to sitting cross-legged on the floor, which is more acceptable than the Western-style leg crossing. Your effort to sit properly will be noticed and appreciated, even if your form isn't perfect. Despite Japan's reputation as a technologically advanced society, women are still completely banned from certain sacred places, and these restrictions remain absolute and non-negotiable even today. Mount Omanizan, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, displays a stark sign at its entrance that reads, "No women allowed," in multiple languages. This sacred mountain has maintained its ban on women for over 1,000 years, based on beliefs about spiritual purity and religious tradition. The ban isn't just symbolic, it's legally enforced, and women who attempt to climb the mountain face serious consequences, including arrest and prosecution. Okinoshima Island presents an even more extreme example of this taboo. This sacred island, also recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, not only bans all women but requires men to undergo ritual purification before setting foot on its shores. Visitors must remove all clothing, cleanse themselves thoroughly in the ocean, and are forbidden from taking anything from the island, not even a single stone or shell. The sumo wrestling world maintains similarly strict gender barriers. Women are prohibited from entering sumo rings because they're considered spiritually impure according to Shinto beliefs. This taboo made international headlines when female doctors were prevented from entering the ring to provide emergency medical care to wrestlers who had collapsed during matches. The tradition was deemed more important than immediate medical assistance. These gender-based taboos extend into modern legal restrictions that affect daily life. Japanese women cannot register for marriage within 6 months after a divorce, based on outdated concerns about determining paternity. They face workplace discrimination that's often subtle but pervasive, with many companies still expecting women to quit their jobs after marriage or childbirth. What makes this taboo particularly complex is how it coexists with Japan's otherwise progressive society. The same country that produces cutting-edge technology and leads in many areas of innovation maintains these ancient restrictions that seem fundamentally at odds with modern values of equality and human rights. Japan's backward-seeming smoking regulations that can result in hefty fines and public embarrassment. Since 2018, smoking outdoors in public areas like streets near schools, hospitals, and government buildings has been heavily restricted, with fines reaching up to $2,700 for individuals and $4,600 for businesses that allow it. What makes this taboo so perplexing is the apparent contradiction. You can't smoke on many public streets, but some restaurants, bars, and indoor establishments still allow smoking. This creates a confusing patchwork of rules that even locals find frustrating. Many Japanese people argue that if smoking is going to be banned, it should be completely banned everywhere, not this selective enforcement that seems to make little logical sense. The key to navigating this taboo is understanding Japan's designated smoking areas. These are often small enclosed spaces near train stations, office buildings, or in corners of city squares. Picture businessmen in suits huddled together in a tiny glass booth, clouds of smoke swirling around them while the rest of the city remains smoke-free. It's a striking visual representation of how Japan compartmentalizes behaviors to maintain social harmony. In a country where trains pack people together like sardines, Japan has created an invisible force field around each person that must never be breached without permission. This taboo about touching without consent goes far beyond simple politeness. It touches the very core of Japanese social harmony and personal respect. Japanese culture values personal space so highly that even a casual handshake can make people uncomfortable. Instead, the bow serves as the universal greeting, conveying respect, gratitude, and acknowledgement without any physical contact. A shallow 15-degree bow works for casual greetings, while a deeper 45-degree bow shows serious respect or apology. For profound remorse or formal situations, people may even kneel and bow with their head touching the ground. What makes this taboo particularly surprising for Western visitors is how it plays out in crowded public spaces. On a packed Tokyo subway car, people will go to extraordinary lengths to avoid unnecessary contact. They'll pull their arms close to their bodies, lean away from strangers, and if accidental contact occurs, they'll immediately bow apologetically. It's like watching a carefully choreographed dance of avoidance. Public displays of affection amplify this taboo dramatically. Before 1945, public kissing or intimate touching could actually result in imprisonment for violating public order. While the laws have changed, the cultural sensitivity remains. Even married couples tend to keep physical affection private, viewing public displays as inappropriate and disrespectful to others who must witness them. For travelers, this means being extra conscious about personal space. That friendly pat on the back, the supportive hand on someone's shoulder, or the enthusiastic hug of greeting can make Japanese people deeply uncomfortable. Instead, express warmth through your words, your attention, and your respectful behavior. Taking off your shoes in Japan isn't just about keeping floors clean, it's about crossing spiritual and cultural boundaries that have existed for over 2,000 years. This taboo runs so deep that violating it can feel like a personal attack on someone's sacred space, and understanding why reveals fascinating insights into Japanese psychology. The practice originated from practical needs in Japan's hot, humid climate. Traditional homes were built with raised floors to avoid moisture and improve air circulation. Tatami mats, those beautiful woven straw floor coverings, were expensive and needed protection from dirt and damage. But over time, this practical custom evolved into something much deeper, a spiritual division between the chaotic outside world and the pure private space of the home. Here's where it gets interesting. In Japanese culture, your home represents your inner self, your most private sanctuary. When someone wears shoes inside, they're literally bringing the dirt and negative energy of the outside world into this sacred space. It's not just disrespectful, it's spiritually polluting. A 1984 sociological study described Japanese homes as sanctuaries where order and purity are fiercely protected against the outside world's chaos. The taboo extends beyond just homes. You'll encounter it at temples, traditional restaurants, some hotels, changing rooms, and even some modern offices. The key is learning to read the signs. Look for a row of shoes at an entrance, a step up into the building, or special slippers provided for guests. When in doubt, watch what others do or simply ask. But here's where many visitors make embarrassing mistakes. The toilet slipper sub-taboo. At traditional places, you'll often find special bathroom slippers that you must switch into before entering the toilet, then switch back when leaving. Forgetting to change back and walking around in toilet slippers is one of the most mortifying mistakes foreigners make, and locals will definitely notice even if they're too polite to say anything. Eating while walking, known as tabaruki, is considered inconsiderate and disruptive to public harmony. This taboo exists because the Japanese believe that eating should be a mindful, deliberate activity that deserves your full attention. When you eat while walking, you're not only showing disrespect to the food and the person who prepared it, but you're also potentially disturbing others with smells, sounds, and the risk of dropping crumbs or spilling. The real-world consequences of breaking this taboo can be intense. A British YouTuber shared his shocking experience of being chased down the street by two elderly men who scolded him for eating a Japanese bun while walking. He was genuinely confused by their reaction until he learned about this cultural rule. The confrontation was so uncomfortable that it completely changed how he approached eating in public during the rest of his stay. But here's the interesting exception that reveals deeper cultural values. Eating on long-distance trains like the Shinkansen bullet train is not only acceptable, it's encouraged and celebrated. Train stations sell beautiful Ichiban lunchboxes specifically designed for train travel, complete with regional specialties and seasonal offerings. The difference is context and mindfulness. On a long journey, eating becomes part of the experience, done thoughtfully and without disrupting others. Now, let's talk about a taboo that seems innocent, but can instantly turn a pleasant meal into an uncomfortable situation. Using chopsticks incorrectly in Japan isn't just bad table manners, it can be deeply offensive because certain actions mirror funeral rituals that deal with death and the afterlife. The most serious violation involves passing food directly from one set of chopsticks to another. This action is called hotoke bashi, and it mimics a sacred Buddhist funeral ceremony where family members use chopsticks to transfer the bones of their deceased loved one from the cremation ashes to an urn. When you pass food this way during a regular meal, you're essentially performing a death ritual at the dinner table. Equally taboo is sticking your chopsticks vertically into a bowl of rice known as tatbashi. This resembles the way incense sticks are placed at Buddhist altars to honor the dead. Imagine you're enjoying a lovely dinner with a Japanese family and you casually stick your chopsticks into your rice bowl while reaching for something. Suddenly, the warm conversation stops, and everyone looks uncomfortable. You've just symbolically turned their dining table into a funeral altar. I've witnessed this taboo being broken firsthand, and the reaction is immediate and visceral. A foreign businessman at a Tokyo restaurant stuck his chopsticks into his rice while talking on his phone. The elderly couple at the next table actually got up and moved to a different section of the restaurant. The staff looked mortified but were too polite to say anything directly. The proper way to handle chopsticks shows respect for both the living and the dead. When not eating, place them on the chopstick rest or lay them across your bowl. When serving yourself from shared dishes, use the opposite end of your chopsticks, the end that hasn't touched your mouth. These simple actions show that you understand the sacred nature of Japanese customs surrounding food and death. As night falls across Japan's quiet neighborhoods, a strange silence settles over the streets. Children who might whistle carelessly during the day suddenly stop, warned by parents and grandparents about an ancient taboo that connects sound to supernatural danger. Whistling at night in Japan isn't just considered rude, it's believed to summon snakes, demons, and criminals. This taboo reaches deep into Japanese folklore and practical history, creating a superstition that still influences behavior today. According to traditional stories, a wicked man once used a trained venomous snake to attack his enemies, controlling the serpent through specific whistle sounds. The legend claims that snakes can sense these frequencies and respond to them, making nighttime whistling a dangerous invitation to deadly creatures. The supernatural elements of this taboo extend beyond snakes to include demons and evil spirits. Traditional Japanese beliefs hold that certain sounds can pierce the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds, attracting malevolent entities that prefer to move under cover of darkness. Parents still warn children that whistling after sunset might bring unwanted supernatural visitors to their homes. But this taboo also has practical historical roots that made it a matter of real safety. During Japan's feudal periods, thieves and criminals used whistles to communicate with accomplices under cover of night. A person whistling in the dark might be mistaken for a criminal signaling to Confederates, potentially drawing unwanted attention from both law enforcement and rival criminal groups. The psychological impact of this taboo creates an eerie atmosphere in Japanese neighborhoods after dark. The absence of casual whistling contributes to the profound quiet that settles over residential areas, where even small sounds seem amplified and significant. This silence becomes part of Japan's nighttime character, creating an almost sacred hush that encourages contemplation and respect. The prohibition against whistling at night represents something larger than superstition. It embodies Japan's profound respect for the natural rhythms of day and night, the seen and unseen, the spoken and unspoken. This taboo teaches us that silence itself can be sacred, that some hours of the day deserve reverence and restraint. When the sun sets over Japan's ancient temples and modern skyscrapers, a cultural understanding takes hold that night is not simply day without light, but a fundamentally different time that calls for different behavior, different awareness, different respect. The deeper wisdom embedded in this seemingly simple rule about not whistling reveals how Japanese culture views the interconnectedness of human behavior and natural harmony. Every action, even something as small as a casual whistle, has consequences that ripple through the community and potentially beyond into realms we might not fully understand. Walking through Japan's quiet neighborhoods after dark, where this taboo helps maintain an almost sacred hush, you begin to understand how cultural rules can create shared experiences of beauty and peace. The absence of casual noise becomes a gift that everyone gives to everyone else, a collective agreement to honor the mystery and tranquility of nighttime hours. What surprised you most about these Japanese taboos? Have you experienced any of these cultural differences yourself? Or do you have questions about navigating Japanese culture? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most fascinating cultural mysteries. The real adventure begins when you understand not just what to see, but how to see it through different cultural eyes. We are so glad you are with us today. Please leave a comment, like the video to support us, and subscribe for more videos. See you soon.